There are no jobs in Canada, but it's because our entire economy is built on sand. Real estate, government, and coffee shops. Now, I did make a video a few weeks ago where I talked about how real estate contributes 30% to the GDP. So let me just give you a few numbers of what Canada is made of. Real estate, like I said, is 30%, highly over leveraged, as a percentage to GDP. Most countries are under 20%. The closest that comes to is Australia. I talked about that in the video as well. Then we have government, which makes 10%, and the jobs there are limited and it's really hard to achieve. There are multiple, hurdles that you need to cross. The cycle time to get that job is like 6-8 months, and they are not very high paying. It's just a reality. Then you have healthcare and social services. Again, services, makes a big part. This is growing. It's about 12% of the GDP. It's a growing sector, but it's bottlenecked by funding because a lot of that funding comes from the province and the federal government. Fourth is manufacturing, which is 10%, and this is an ever declining sector as Canada is moving away from manufacturing. Over the years, we have done that, and we are becoming more of a service-based industry. Therefore, the jobs here are also declining. Then we come into retail and other services, which is 14%. Again, low wage, minimum wage jobs, all these Tim Hortons working in banks as tellers, all those jobs come into that. The more population increase that happens, more of these services are required, and therefore more of these jobs are created. However, they are not very high paying jobs. And then comes tech, which is 5%. That's it. 5% of all jobs that are being created in Canada, and the contribution to GDP is just 5%. Here's the challenge for you. Pause the video right now and name one company that comes to mind. Name one Canadian company that comes to mind, which is leading in tech, and you cannot name Shopify. And in fact, Shopify has so many competitors. Yes, they are doing very well, and they have created pretty big name for themselves, and they're a Canadian company. However, there are so many more innovative companies in the US and Canada, we can't even name more than one or two. Compared to this 5%, if I talk about USA, 10% of their GDP is tech, and 3.5% of their entire GDP is spent on tech R&D. That's real innovation, and that's real thirst for job creation. Apple, Google, OpenAI, Nvidia, Tesla, Meta, a lot of which that we use today originates in the USA. Imagine the things that we are using every single day. Instagram, Facebook, the laptop that I have my script on, my phone that I use every single day, every single hour, the watch that I'm wearing. Everything is made in US. And honestly, it's not like Canada doesn't have jobs. They are just not the ones that we dreamed of when we came to Canada. I am talking about skilled trades. Electricians, plumbers, carpenters, construction workers, welders, masons, HVAC techs. There are over 25,000 open construction roles in Ontario alone. And the crazy part is you can easily earn over 6 figures doing any of these roles. And it's much higher than, let's say, if you're a marketing graduate earning $50,000 to $60,000. And most of the times you don't even like that job. Let me talk about my personal story. I have a business right now, but before doing my business, a lot of people know that who have been following me from Potato Talkies time, I have had over a decade worth of experience in marketing research. And I came to Canada in the middle of the pandemic. We came in March of 2020. There were no jobs in the market for 5 to 6 months. I was jobless, but that does not mean that I was not making any money. Here's what I did, and a lot of people who are watching right now struggling to get a decent job making 6 figures, or struggling to just, upgrade your career or not happy with your career, here's something that you can learn from my story. Maybe you can, maybe you don't. I'll just spell it out. I tried to search a job for about 1 month, and then I figured, it was COVID, everyone was laying off people, and I was like, it's impossible to get a job. I was not working in IT. Simran still got a decent job, in 1 month, from when we came to Canada. However, I did not get a job for 5 months. So 1 month into my job search, I was like, okay, you know what? This is not working out. Let me not sit idle. Let me do something else. So while I was applying for jobs in my field, like marketing research in Walmart and all these companies, Walmart is what, eventually I landed a job in. That was about 5 months, I would say, after coming to Canada. But apart from that, my strength was analyzing data and, making decisions based on that data. So that is something that I've done in the last 10 years. I've analyzed data and I've helped companies, big companies like PepsiCo, make decisions based on that data. So I went on LinkedIn and reached out to these startup founders who have apps, who have a lot of data, but they don't have the time to read that data, and therefore they're not making decisions on that data. This is a story of every entrepreneur. When they start, they build something, but they're not looking at the data, and therefore they're not really actioning, or they're not really making efficiencies into building efficiency into the system because they're not looking at data. This is just a privilege that Fortune 500 companies and big companies have, that they can hire and spend millions of dollars in analyzing data, but it's really important. Doesn't mean it's not important for small businesses. So what I did was I reached out to 50 founders who had small businesses, and 10 of them responded to me, and 5 of them actually gave me a project. So I'll give you one of the examples. It was a healthcare app where you would download the app, you would answer a bunch of questions, and then they'll suggest you what vitamins you need and stuff like that, right? So they were asking about 10 questions, but when I saw the data, I saw that a lot of people were going away from the app after answering 5 questions. So one of the actions that I gave them was that just ask people 4 or 5 questions, and that will give you enough information. And then once they log into the they get into the app, you can make them more engaging. You can ask 1 question a day, and that way you'll have all 10 questions in, let's say 5 to 10 days, and that would be long enough for an assessment. And then you can suggest them the vitamins or whatever the hell that you want to suggest them. Now, I was not trying to change their business model. All I was telling them is that there are many consumers who are dropping off on question number 5. So instead of continuing to ask 10 questions, just stop at 4 or 5 and ask 1 question a day, gamify it, and that actually gave them an increase in the number of signups that happened on the app. Now, they did not have a data analyst role. They did not even think that they'll need that, but I on and off made $3,000 for the next 1 year. Every single month on average, I made a total of $25,000 to $30,000 doing research projects for 2 companies. One was this company, and another company that when I reached out, the 50 founders that I reached out to, I also worked for a long time for the other company as well. And I made about $25,000 to $30,000 in 1 year. That was over and above the job that I got after 5 months of coming to Canada. This is just one example of how I reached out to founders on LinkedIn, used my strength to do a project for free. The first cut for this healthcare company, I actually did it for free, and then started making money. And this app is not just selling in Canada. That's the beauty of it, right? All these founders were not just focusing on Canada, they were focusing on North America, and the money that I was getting was not just from a Canadian company. So I was not reliant on Canada alone to give me a job. I was just reaching out to founders who are selling to the world, and therefore have probably deeper pockets to pay me as they build their businesses. Here's another example, which is my editor. He's 17 years old. He was 17 years old when he reached out to me. In one of the videos, I said that I don't like editing. This is back in 2021. He reached out to me. He did a first cut of a video that I already edited, and he did a much better job. And right now, he leads my media company. He earns a full-time Canadian salary, and he's still 21. And a long way to, he's seen me grow from nothing to where I am today. And imagine the amount of equity and the learning and the knowledge that you gain from working so closely with a startup founder. It's just out of this world. These little experiences make a much better story than saying that you were sitting idle for 6 months searching for a job. So for everyone who is watching this video, yes, Canada's job market sucks and it's not going to improve because we are not innovating enough, but getting dollars in our bank account is our responsibility. And one of the strategies that have worked with me is hacking LinkedIn, using my skills to market myself on LinkedIn, making posts. I made an entire video of how to start from $1,000, and that was all about honing your skills. Make sure that you watch that video. I launched that on Sunday, just a few days ago. I'll link that in the description below as well. But make sure that you are looking beyond what Canada's job market has to offer. Use your skills to market them on LinkedIn. Get free projects, even if it's for free. Do a couple of projects, make a portfolio out of it, and then sell to companies, and it will make for a much better story. And I promise you this, there will be a time where you will be able to make a lot more from these freelance projects than your job. That's all I have for today. मिलते हैं अगली वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए bye bye.